Get ready, folks. We're tearing into Tonka, the next liar on the chopping block. YouTuber Tonka Saw came into popularity in early 2018 when he joined the internet blood sports trend and started his own live stream, The Morning Kumite, which also became very popular. Now, I was catching some of the things that he was saying on Twitter and YouTube, mainly some of the things that he was saying about his real life, and I noticed that a lot of the things he was saying was not adding up. Now, one of the things that he was saying, and he had a lot of his fans convinced of this, was that he was a working professional pro wrestler and he was wrestling as his full-time job.
For me, at around 2006, it became a job. And that was why I couldn't watch it all the time every week anymore. And I would record it on a freaking VHS still because I was still doing that. And I would watch it when I got back every week because I would wrestle 4 days a week for like 6 shows. But I would wrestle like 4 days a week. And whenever I would get back in, I would just go over wrestling while I was there because I enjoyed. But it got to where there had to be a cutoff. And since I was wrestling 4 days a week.
Now, this claim of wrestling as a job 4 days a week, it just didn't make sense because once his wrestling name was revealed, you could go to YouTube and find some of his wrestling matches, and a lot of those wrestling matches, which were from 2013, which is late in his career, which is when he should be securing his best gigs. There were many videos of him wrestling in this deli at a strip mall, where they shoved a few tables aside, set up a ring, and wrestled in front of maybe a couple dozen people. Now, this is basically what you call low-end indie wrestling. These matches pay very little, if any, money. You're lucky to get your gas money back. Well, that's quite inconsistent for someone who says they started wrestling professionally and as a job in 2006 to be wrestling at very low-end and no-paying wrestling gigs late in his career in 2013. That just really doesn't make any sense. Another thing that doesn't make any sense are the brags he made about his supposed successful businesses. He claimed he had money, successful businesses, properties, and nice cars. Now that didn't make any sense because why would somebody with all of that going on have time to spend 5 hours every weekday to live stream on a morning show? It didn't make sense. So we were starting to see a pattern with Tonka Saw's behavior that I had seen before. Tonka Saw was a lot like Russian Deadpool. If you look back on both Tonka Saw and Russian Deadpool's lives in retrospect, you'll see neither one of them had any success their entire lives. Neither of them had any serious ambition or drive for any serious career or training for any career. They both seemed to be trying to bullshit their way through life, and I pointed this out in an earlier Russian Deadpool video. My whole argument with Russian Deadpool at the time is it seems like he was just trying to bullshit his way through life. He didn't seem to realize that part of being a man is that the people around you, the people that you love, they're relying on your strong support. Both of these guys seem to crave validation. Neither one of them could ever shut up about their real lives, and when they did talk about their real lives, insecure with their meager accomplishments, they always greatly exaggerated in order to make themselves look better. Guys, I've been around the block. I've seen 100 of these guys. They try to bullshit their way through life. They won't commit to the hard work. They're lazy. They try to schmooze and finagle their way through life. And guys like this, you can't trust them as far as you could throw them.
I have been working with Homeland Security, as you guys know, and the captain, the gentleman in charge of the entire district, like all of Colorado for this job, he is so interested in me specifically that...
For me, at around 2006, it became a job. And that was why I couldn't watch it all the time every week anymore. And again, like I would record it on a freaking VHS still because I was still doing that. And I would watch it when I got back every week because I would wrestle 4 days a week for like 6 shows. But I would wrestle like 4 days a week.
Please. We've burned Korans. We've helped free women from fucking Saudi Arabia.
Now, back in March, I was arguing with Cognitive Thought and a lot of Tonka's followers about the fact that he was bullshitting about all his wrestling claims. Now, all of them believed him and backed him 100%. In fact, I got into a really long DM with Cognitive Thought arguing about this whole point where he's backing Tonka and saying he was a professional wrestler. But this happened a few days ago, folks. Mr. Metacore did a live stream called IBS Apocalypse, where a guy named Zoom called out Tonka Saw on all his real-life bullshit lies. This was touted by many as the end of blood sports, and despite Tonka Saw's sycophants saying that he's undefeated on blood sports, the consensus was that Zoom blew him the fuck out that day. But there's one little catch, folks. The arguments that he made calling out Tonka Saw on his wrestling lies were the exact same arguments I made on a live stream 1 month earlier. Now, I don't know if he plagiarized my stuff. I don't know if he saw my stuff and ran with it further, because he did investigate this a lot further than I went. Or it could be that me and him both followed the same paths, albeit I did it months earlier. So let's do this, folks. Let's roll footage from both live streams. Mine was on April 20th. His was on May 20th. And you guys can judge for yourself. Attendance. Due to their lower budgets, most independent promotions offer low salaries. It is not unusual for a wrestler to be paid $5 to $20 per match. Now, if you're a more known wrestler, you can demand $100 or $200. But Tonka Saw, he was only in the very, very lowest of promotions. What was I gonna say? All the YouTube videos of him wrestling, and there are, about a dozen I've seen. There are 0 comments on him, so that shows 0 fan base. The only comments were in the last couple months when they knew it was Tonka Saw and they mentioned something. So he's got no notoriety. I pointed out he was a beginner level wrestler at the biggest dive joints imaginable, never made a dime in wrestling, and he grossly exaggerated his puny lowest level wrestling career. And here it is. This is where they wrestle. The Pro South, where most of his wrestling matches on the database took place. This dingy old building.
Roll the rest of the tape. They've never heard of you.
Roll it in a wheelchair, bud.
Yeah, they have no idea who the fuck you are. Not a single fucking person in Tennessee has ever heard of you.
You show all these videos of me wrestling in these places.
Okay.
And you're like, he's wrestling, but they've never heard of him.
You're doing fake wrestling. You're not doing you're not doing the real shit with the actual licenses, and you have to be athletically trained to do it professionally. You're not doing the pro shit like you claim you do on the Kumite. You're doing fake backyard wrestling scripted shit, so you're basically just an actor. So what I did is I called the Alabama Athletic Commission, because that's where you did the majority of your original fights when you first started wrestling.
Fights or wrestling? You know those are different things, right?
That's the thing. We did this fake wrestling thing where you told everybody that you were like this championship wrestler that had belts. By the way, I talked to 2 of your former employers later on in the video, and they said you're full of shit too. And
you can have a lot of matches outside this database. It's going to be the very, very low end. So, in conclusion, even if he was wrestling 4 nights a week, getting paid, $5 to $20 and traveling out of state, he's got to be losing money. And here is the database that shows his. Now, he said he started in 2006 wrestling as a career. Now, this is his career database. And before 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, all the way up to October, shows absolutely no matches. And this is a very thorough database, but extensive database. Let me show you. There, it has 2,000. Over 2,000 promotions report to this database, inspired by Sanjay Dutt. Now let's look at his career. A little bit, not a world-class wrestler, but a real popular indie guy. And let's see what a real wrestler that's like he described looks like. You saw how his dozens and dozens and dozens of promoters. Look, here's his matches, because he's a little bit up on the scale. All of his matches. See how his 2000, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009 matches all show up.
I did.
You claim that you did.
Matt.
That's the best part about this.
No, I didn't.
They can pull you up in a national database, and if you ever fought even semi-professional or amateur, it would be logged. It would be logged in the MMA database.
Okay.
Well, if you had the right name, it would help.
Well, really?
Okay.
You just confirmed. You just confirmed 20 minutes ago that was
Hey, Tonka.
Videos of me fighting.
A wrestling name and a fighting name is two different things.
You realize they pull up your fucking name too. It doesn't matter what name you fought under when you're licensed.
You have to have the real name to fight it, you fucking retard.
No, not true. You can actually look up the name you fought under too. Because he even shows us in the thing, so it's a website we can go to look what name you fought under.
I'm not real familiar with Robbie Bio, but I hear he has a really checkered past in the ring where he takes care of business.
The other thing about Tonka Saw and his fluffing of his real life that was happening, that he said somewhere, he keeps claiming he's an owner of these businesses. He says, "Oh, I don't care what this online stuff. I got it made so well in the real world. I got these businesses." He said that. I tried to dig up the quote a little bit. I didn't want to spend a lot of time digging up that quote. But he has claimed on more than one occasion that he is the owner of businesses. Okay, keep that in mind. Owner of businesses. His name. Okay, now I want you to think a second about all the YouTubers, creators that you like, and a lot of them will come to you and they'll say things like, well, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in 2 or 3 weeks. I've been real busy with this and that. I've been so busy with life. A lot of them are going to school, taking final exams. A lot of them have kids. Family emergencies, jobs, things like that, right? So see a lot of creators, you've got 2-3 week periods where they cannot put out anything because they're so busy. Yet guys, this guy, this guy who claims to have all these businesses and properties which should keep your ass running, has 5 hours every single weekday to get on his live stream. And then he follows this drama, which takes even more time. You have to live on. So he has no. How does someone? Oh, you got shit to do now. That's what he said. He's got shit to do now. All of a sudden, he doesn't have 5 hours to live stream every weekday. He's got his businesses.
I called Georgia and I called Florida. They've never heard of him either. He's never owned businesses in those states either. So he's full of shit.
I thought you did need a license to do that.
You said that you did it professionally,
you need a license.
and you ran a business. You were full of shit. You did not. You did not run a business. You did not have a professional promoter license from the state or any athletic commission in the entire country. You know why? Because I called every single state that you ever fought in, including the one that you lived in when you were crying on Facebook. So stop stalling and let the video play.
Go ahead, champ.
All right, we're picking up at 12:10. All right, so 3, 2, 1.
School gyms, they didn't look any like professional at all. But then he kept saying that he stopped wrestling and he started doing fight promoting, and that he had his own wrestling ring, and he had his own like fighting division and stuff. Like, this is stuff I've seen through Twitter archives that people have sent me, because I started to do an investigation on the guy because I don't think he's legit. And he said that he did fight promotion in your state, he did fight promotion in Arizona, he did fight promotion in Alabama, and he also did it in Florida. And so far, every person I've called, they haven't been able to say it. He actually asked to book a fight with somebody, I'm going to say last month, and he was calling somebody out on a podcast and saying that he could book a fight with them. And then when they, I guess, were talking about setting it up, he implied that he had connections to the athletic division in both Alabama and Tennessee. And it just didn't add up to me because he didn't really seem to have any knowledge about the surety bond, the $10,000 surety bond. He didn't.
And we're going to call this the pouting of a loser. This is the interview with him. And throughout the interview, let me get this notes here. Talks about how much wrestling sucks and let's go down here to where he talks about. Now, he tried to start his own promotion company because he learned that you can't make money unless you're a promoter. Okay, here's the question. What was the experience like running your own show? Did you run the same promotion a few times, or did you run shows under different names? Well, running my own show was quite the learning experience. Honestly showed me that as much as I love wrestling, I didn't love it that much. Whining starts, and it's not going to let up, guys. I'm just not the diplomat that it would take to be a successful promoter. I wouldn't use anyone I wouldn't trust as a person, and in the pro wrestling business, that was a very small list. So everyone in pro wrestling is bad, I guess. As months went by, some guys fell off that list, and it became truly a low point in my wrestling tenure. I trusted some people whom I shouldn't have, and they used that trust to try to have my show shut down. So he's blaming everyone but himself. It's people got his show shut down. Man. By the time this happened, I was so discouraged with wrestling as a whole that I couldn't really fight them to get the building back. So that's his promotion completely failing. I was just too drained of any interest at that point. I wanted to quit. I'm one of the few guys who ever booked myself into a match. For most all his matches that showed up on the database were through Pro South Wrestling. We showed that. Pro South Wrestling, all these in black and blue are Pro South Wrestling. Hey, let's listen to what he says about Pro South Wrestling. Well, he was in with them for a few years, did a lot of matches with them. Let's see what he says about Pro South Wrestling. Let's see where the Pro South Wrestling thing is. One Alabama promotion you have worked for is Pro South Wrestling. How did you first get involved with this promotion? Was that with Dave Torres, or was Torres with another promotion? His response: Torres is another promotion. He ran Extreme Outlaw Wrestling in the Oxford and Addison area. Pro South, on their hand, then was one of these things that let me get to my pouty voice. Pro Southling, on the other hand, was one of these things that if I look back on now, I would have never went. I don't think anyone killed off my liking for the business any more than that place. This is where he got the vast majority of his database wrestling matches, the one that's close to his house, and he's bitching about how he's quit and he hates them and bleh. I went in about 4 or 5 other guys. They're looking for people to use in the upcoming shows. They only kept 2. I can't tell you how or why I ended up in Pro South Wrestling either than just trying to work another show, but once I got there, I just wanted out. That's your successful wrestler, guys. You're a pro.
They had nothing positive happen. And in the course of one day, earlier this year, everything that mattered to me on a personal level was greatly disrupted. I left Facebook for that very reason. And since that time, I've had someone do and say a lot of things to me. And people around my life try to get to me, and I refuse to do anything about it. Because that is stupid and gay, and I didn't want to give them what they wanted. Most of you have contacted me, and I ignored you because I didn't know what I could do about it. I was eventually able to shut it out, but it had months to take hold. And for 24 hours or so, I wanted to say something to all the people for the first time in a long time. I used to interact with people all over the world, and out here pretty regularly. And now I may say 4 words a day and have a text conversation once a week. I've missed holidays, birthdays, and responsibilities, but I had to do that for myself. I had a lot of time to think about a lot of things, and I have not come to any conclusions. I was accused of being a coward, among other things, for leaving, and that is fine. But I figured out.
It's just crazy stuff that you get from wrestlers that will make you dislike wrestling. Wrestling fans can do some things that will make you dislike wrestling, and
The time me and Ace won the tag team titles, I couldn't stand the guy. He was the booker of the promotion, and once he saw me getting over, he instantly stuck himself to my side with us winning the tag titles, blah, blah, blah. He was one of those guys that just wasn't a good person. So you can see he's got an attitude where he's not getting along with these promoters, and that is key to making successful. You can kind of see how why he is very, very unsuccessful.
Too.
do you know why we stopped working together?
Yeah, because you're a faggot and you freaked
You're
out
a
over somebody
retard.
taking. No, you're a pussy and somebody took your Facebook and you had a fucking spurg out over it and you freaked
No.
out at him and blew up his
No, me
inbox
and
like a
him-
crazy
no, me and him
ex-girlfriend.
stopped
No,
working
that
together
ain't what he
in
fucking said.
No, you're a
That
fucking.
ain't what he fucking said. Play the video.
I
You'll
don't
see what he
prove- I
fucking
don't
says
care
about you.
what he said. Me and him stopped doing business back in 2012 when he kept hitting on girls. That were
I'm sure.
looking.
I'm sure.
You're
Tonka.
sure?
I'm
You're
sure.
sure?
I'm really gonna believe
You're
you. You've
sure?
already lied about fighting professionally. You've lied about fighting in MMA. What else
I
could
never
you
said
possibly
I
lie
fought
about?
professionally, Zoom.
You
You're
said
a
that you
fucking
fought.
idiot.
You did. You said it many a time.
When?
You said it
Name
on the
one
Kumite
stream.
many times that you fucking said that you fought professionally.
No.
You even talk about in detail
No.
later on in this
No.
video about how
No.
you fought in MMA and you had a flawless fucking record, but you never did.
Amateur
You
is
never
a
did. Guess what? Even in
fucking-
amateur MMA, you're listed in the Master MMA Fight Database.
If
You're
you
listed
have
on
the
Fight
name,
Stats.
yeah.
You're
If
listed
you
on
have the
Boxer.
name.
There's no record of
If
you
you
ever
have the
fighting.
name.
Tonka, it's really weird how you say I don't have your name,
wrestling
but
name on it
but
with
you're.
you in it.
Why are you admitting that it's you on the fucking video, and then you have a Facebook where your own family's mocking at you for being such a fucking bitch?
You
Because
have
by the
no
way,
idea
one of
what
your
my
friends
name
in
is.
real life sent us your fucking
Who is
Facebook.
my friend in real life?
Yeah, we found one of your real life friends that you used to know that does not like you, that heard about you, and they sent us your Facebook. They not only sent us videos of your Facebook, they sent us an entire dump of every fucking thing you've ever said on Facebook. So I recorded some of it because it's funny. So continue this so that we can have your former friend and employer, a guy that you haven't worked with since 2011, tell us what he really thinks about you.
Okay, continuing off in 1839 in 3,
Yeah, sure.
2, 1.
Found out that he used to wrestle for a wrestling company called Livewire Wrestling. And when we found a bunch of videos about him, we decided to do a little bit of digging, and we found a bunch of comments from about 6 months ago where everybody's calling him Tonka-san and making fun of him. And then, here's the best part. One of the comments says, "We no longer do business with this guy." People asked why, and they never answered. So I decided to dig deep and actually hit the person up that's one of the administrators, and I found out that they had Discord. So I messaged them and I asked them about it by pretending that I was a wrestling recruiter and that Tonka was trying to come up to me for work, just like I had done with the other calls. And I had them look up censored. The guy said, "Oh, I was hoping for somebody
No, they did
irrelevant."
not.
And I said,
They
"I'm
did.
assuming things didn't end well for your partnership." And he said, "No, they did not."
Oh fuck! Hold on.
And I
Pause
said,
that.
"Do you
Pause
mind
that
me
real
asking
quick.
why?"
I could ruffle you off a list of fucking everybody who walked out on this fucking retard. He had to run a show with 4 people because when everybody found out the shit about him, the only people who stayed and worked for him were the people who were stupid close to him. He's a fucking retard.
Um,
I had gotten to where I didn't like to watch it just because like it wasn't just that I did it all the time. It was just I was starting to meet some of the people. And there's this thing that happens when you start to meet people and you begin to hate them.
All right, that's enough Tonka saw for one day. Tonka, if you're listening, now you're probably a lost cause, but I'll give you the same talk I gave Russian Deadpool. You need to get off your ass, straighten your ass out, and quit being such a big pain in the ass to everyone around you. Now, you can keep fucking around, but something pretty bad will probably end up happening to you, just like Russian Deadpool. Started coming around social media, I could sniff the bad smell on you from day one. Straighten your ass out.